Salvador, you're here for a reason. You're here not for this show.
Nej, det gör
Bare så det-
nej.
Nej, men du er her for å lære svensk.
Jag är här för jag älskar Ingmar Bergman-filmer. Och efter jag såg alla filmer, jag tror, well, I have to go and learn the language because it's so, the melodien, you know. It's very, jaha, jättebra. You know? It's just, yeah. It just made me feel really joyful. It still does. Nu jag pluggar, jag älskar att plugga svenska, ja.
How long have you been studying now?
3 veckor nu. Ja. Kom on. Ja. Men den har vecka. Och sista veckan. Ja, sista veckan.
You came from jazz.
Yeah, I still am there.
Yeah, and you're still there, but then you had this, let's call it a detour to Eurovision Song Contest.
Yeah. It's my prostitution.
Well, you were quite clear about that when you called it fast food music. What do you mean by that?
You know, nowadays, I think maybe I was too fundamentalist, you know, maybe too extreme. Because Eurovision, my opinion is this, it's not really about music, you know, it's about the show. You know, it's a show to make people enjoy all the new technology, the new sound things, you know.
What was the first thought that went through your head when they announced you as the winner of the international competition?
My first thought was herregud. But in Portuguese, yeah. No, my first thought, you know, we were far from the stage, and the stage had a mycket stairs. How do you say stairs?
Trapper.
Trappor. Mycket trappor. So I was very ill back then, and for me stairs, it was very difficult for me to go upstairs. So I was really nervous about that. I got super tired, so I was like, oh no, I won, and now I'm gonna have to climb all those stairs. You know?
So that was like your first.
That was really, honestly, my first. I think if you really watched it carefully, that moment, I think you can tell by my face that I'm like, oh no. You know? Yeah, I got really tired just going up 4 stairs, you know. 4 trappor.
But what was that? I mean, back then you had this serious heart condition.
Yeah.
And was this the way you could notice that you got easily tired?
If the heart doesn't function, anything else in the body really functions. So I got tired, you know, I had a lot of liquid retention also. Yeah, mycket liquid. Yeah, I had like 25 kilos of liquid in my body. I had a stomach like this, you know, like an old beer guy. Yeah.
Was this during the Eurosong time?
Yeah, I had it. If you look, I was wearing a very large shirt, so you couldn't notice, a black shirt. But if you look carefully, you can see that there's something there, you know. But now, jag spelar fotboll 2 timmar i veckan. Och ja, jag springer, I can do anything now.
It's amazing. The reason that you could, if I understand right here, the reason that you could go through with the whole Eurosong thing was you owe parts of that to your sister, because, I mean...
Parts of that, almost all of it. Min syster,
Louisa.
hon skrev sång. Yeah, the song. Hon, yeah, she stepped in for me in the rehearsals for a week.
But was there, I mean, when you win a victory like that, it's a whole year that is sort of being a part of a big circus. Was there like a moment when you realized, I can't be a part of this circus? I'm not fit for this.
Yeah, that moment happened before, because they have before Eurovision, as you must know, they have a lot of parties, you know, Eurovision pre-party, and I couldn't do it physically, but I didn't want to do it either, you know, because they had it in clubs. You know, I don't really like clubs, and it's a whole world that there's a lot of things that I just don't identify with, you know. So from the beginning, I was a bit apart from everything until the end. you know. Right after I won, there was a lot of things to do, like the winners should do, and it's not that I'm against it. It's just that I don't identify with it. So
You had a long period. I don't know how long it was, but you were waiting.
6 månader på sjukhus.
What were you doing?
Jag väntar för transplant.
Could you write songs? Could you work? Are there songs on your
It would
album that's
be-
from that period?
It would be very romantic to say that I wrote a lot of songs in my very hard period of my life. But, you know, the reality,
Just say it.
yeah,
Just say it.
the reality really is that I just watched the series on Netflix. I was so depressed, you know. Well, I också såg mycket Ingmar Bergmans film, Roy Andersson films. I mean, kärlekshistoria, yeah. But no, I didn't write songs. And then after, I wrote a couple of songs that are going to be in my next album. The first song actually is really about that experience, and it's a sort of a catharsis moment. And it's actually separated from the rest of the album. So you have the first song, which is like the catharsis of that moment. And then afterwards, the album really begins, and it's like a rebirth album, you know?
And that's where you are now.
And that's where I am now.
How was it to go on stage for the first time with a new heart?
It's funny that you asked that. The first time I did it in a bar where I play often in Portugal, but I didn't have any strength in my legs, you know, because I've been how do you say?
Yeah,
Laid down. Yeah.
That's okay. In 3 weeks, that's not one of the first words
yeah.
you learn anyway. So
Yeah, so I was laid down for so long. I didn't have the muscles, you know. So I remember trying to sing, and my voice just rambled all over because I don't know why. I didn't have the strength in my voice. I didn't have the strength anywhere. And I was so frustrated singing a song that I just jumped and did this, and I fell on stage, you know. I fell on stage. It was a bar, you know, but I fell, and I'm like, I should leave, you know. I was so sad. And then, little by little, jag började sjunga bra, bättre. And new. I don't think it's there yet, but it's getting there, the voice, you know.
but you feel okay.
Ja, no, mycket bra, skitbra.
But do you know whose heart you got? You get to know that?
Nej. That's impossible to know, you know. And I wouldn't want to know. I just feel fine. Who cares whose it is, you know.
But anyway, it's a great heart, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
Absolute.
I'm so amazed that you're here tonight. I'm so glad you're here tonight.
Oh, yeah.
And we're gonna have some other guests on. And later on, you're gonna sing for us as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my name's Salvador Sobral. Hope you enjoyed the clip. For more interesting conversations, please hit subscribe.